Hello students, so let's do the problem. And it says, Nathan works at a car parking lot. The following table and graph shows the total cost for different hours. Based on this information, what is the rate of change for this scenario? And the second question is, what is the initial cost for parking service? So let's look at letter A first. Letter A is asking me to find what is the rate of change. So first of all, I need to think about what rate of change means. Rate of change is the same as slope. Very good. So there's a couple of ways that I can find a slope. I can find a slope by doing rise over run on the graph. Is that correct? I can also do change of the y over the change of the x. Let's see if you remember that one. Change of y over change of x, we can find it by doing and looking at the table. So in the table, how do I find patterns? Well, the way that I find a pattern is I say, how do I go from a 0 to a 1? I say plus 1, right? From a 1 to a 2, plus 1. From 2 to a 3, plus 1, and so on. So I notice that this is constant, right? So my x has a constant change or a constant rate of change, which is 1. What about the y? How do I go from 3 to 350? Well, I'm adding 0.50. How about from 350 to 4? I'm still adding 0.50. How about the next one? I'm still adding 0.50, and to go to the next one, I'm still adding 0.50. Is that right? So I can see the rate of change being constant on both x and y. So what's the rate of change for y? It's 0.50. Very good. What about on the y? It is 0.50. What about on the x? It's a 1. Is that right? So now I can see that the rate of change is 0.50 over 1. And that will mean what? Well, the 1 is for the hours. So that means 50 cents per hour. So it seems to be that the answer should be letter B. Is that right? But we can double check on that by using the formula for the slope of a line. Let's see if you remember the formula. So the formula says for me to do m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x of 2 minus x of 1. Is that right? So I'm going to choose 2 points. You can choose any 2 points that you want. I'm going to choose the 0 and 3. And I'm going to choose 1 and 350. You can choose any other 2 points that you wish. So I'm going to write my labels. This is my x of 1 because it's my first point, and 3 will be my y's of 1. It's still my first point. Second one, this will be my x of 2, and 350 will be my y's of 2 because that's my second point. I'm going to circle my y coordinates because remember, that's going to help me to decide that those numbers goes on the numerator. So in the numerator, I'm going to write down 3.50 minus 3. On the denominator, I'm going to write down 1 minus 0. And I will get 0.50, or you can say 0.50 is the same, over 1. And if you input that in the calculator, you will get just 0.50. Is that right? So isn't that what I got earlier when I said the change of the y over the change of the x? We did, right? Look over here. 0.50 over 1 is the same thing that I got right there. Is that right? And on the second one, that's exactly what I got right on the bottom. Okay, so if you look at the answer choices, my answer choice B says 50 cents per hour. Is that right? So that's what the slope it is. That's what my rate of change. Every hour that you are parked in that parking lot, you will be increasing 50 cents for every hour. Okay, good. Let's go to the next question. The next part of the problem says, what is the initial cost for parking service? So let's see if we understand what that means. So initial cost means how much are you gonna pay at the beginning before you even use the parking lot. Is that right? So let's write it down over here. So the initial cost is how much money you're gonna pay, and sometimes we say that like the starting, right? So how much is the starting cost before we even use the parking lot? So I want to point out to you two things. Number one, let's look at the graph. Is that correct? So in the graph, I do have a point on the y, which is 3. And I want you to look at the table now. What happens when the hours is a 0? That means you have not even used 1 hour in the parking lot. And they're already charging you how much money? $3. Is that right? So do you think that means the initial cost already? It seems like it, right? It seems like they're already charging you $3 as the initial cost of your usage of the parking lot. Okay? Now, that maybe you can think about that as your y-intercept. Is that right? And my y-intercept is the same as b. And I'm writing it because now I want you to consider doing it algebraically. So what's the formula for the slope-intercept form? So we say y equals mx plus b. Is that right? So I'm going to choose one point. Now I'm going to choose some other point, not any of the ones that I used earlier. So I'm going to choose 4 and 5, where 4 is x and 5 is y. So I'm going to replace those values in my equation. So y is 5. M, I found it earlier, was 0.50. And x is 4. Is that right? So I'm just working it out to confirm that 3 is the initial cost. Is that correct? So let's finish it up. What's 0.50 times 4? 2, right? And I'm going to say plus b. I want to leave b by itself. Therefore, I need to take away 2 on both sides. And the 2's are going to cancel. So what's 5 minus 2? It's 3, right? So that will be the initial cost. So look at the answer choices. Of course, it cannot be F and it cannot be J. So now the debate is a G or H. Well, H says $3 per hour. And that's not what I'm looking for. Initial means that's like a one-time fee, not per hour. So my answer for that will be letter G. Very good.